3, 2, 1.
All right, 3, 2, 1. You're up.
Good afternoon and welcome back. November 9th, 2020. An afternoon, 3 hours or so, full of budget deliberations. And I hope you've had a nice brisk walk in the nice cool air outside before we get comfortably numb. So I'm going to go right to Robin, I think.
I think so. So what we will be doing this afternoon is continuing on down the list. And then we'll go back and address a few of the items that are on hold. And at some point, not very far into the afternoon, I'll be asking for a short break so we can do a quick calculation of where we're at. But right now, we're going to jump right back into line items, starting at line item number 33, and I need to share my screen. Also need to move this thing. All right, so line 33 is a request from Superior Court. It is for the 5th courtroom at the FJC. They are requesting $276,000 plus a few. And it says that this is a companion to B0305, which is the Trial Court Improvement Fund. And what you saw last week is the Trial Court Improvement Fund, they had asked for $50,000. That money would be paying for part of the changes that they would like to see at the FJC. But the 276 is to remodel for a 5th courtroom and to make other changes at that building to address capacity needs.
All right. And we have a low, medium, medium. And none of this, though, this all comes from 100% comes from general fund.
This would be 100% general fund. That is what the court has proposed.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions or comments?
I do. I don't know if Ty does.
Go ahead, Gary.
I'm not sure about this. And as times tighten up, I wonder if there's any discussion about doing staggered hours or night court or anything of the sort that could save the taxpayers a substantial amount of money. And I don't know if we could put efficiencies in there or not. I don't know if certain citizens might be more apt to serve on a jury, for an example, although in family court that's not the case. But I just wonder if we need to start being innovative about utilizing our space in a more effective manner.
Ty, any thoughts or on where you're sitting on this?
I would like to do it, but just adding up my numbers, it just fell outside the, kind of like JazzCom, it just fell outside the range of what I thought we could afford. I think it is a good proposal to try to use the available space and, stretch another courtroom out of the building that we already have. So I'm in favor of it at some point, but I'm not ready to vote for it this year.
Yeah, it's a fair chunk of dough. And when I look at their statement of need, juvenile offenders have decreased about 60% in the last 20 years, but dependency and guardianship have increased. But it says that The court expects this number to increase in involuntary treatment. The ITAs to increase. The court expects this number to increase as the new facilities are built, mental health facilities in the county, of course. These hearings are being held at FJC because of the public health emergency. So I don't know if that is just a temporary fix where those are being held at the FJC. But it's a major expense. And they've looked at remodeling as well. I believe I recall, I'm the one that rated this as a low priority. I don't recall. I think I did, but I don't remember. So I'm not sold on it either.
I mean, the other thing I'd say is just that, we put a lot of, I don't think the board's anywhere close to a concrete decision, but we've sure put a lot of time and effort into trying to figure out a medium to long-term strategy for court space and facilities. So, I know FJC is going to be part of the mix, but it's just kind of fits into a wider context for me. And I'm just not sure the dollars are there this year.
I'll get back to you, Gary, if you have something else, but I kind of think that when we get to the end of this and Robin or someone prepares the numbers for us is what the bottom line is, that we're gonna have a little bit of sticker shock. And I think this might just blow that even out of the water even further. My thought, Gary?
No, I'm kind of with you guys.
Okay.
So something that we could do is, as you consider Plan B for the court, what are we going to do for the courthouse? And I absolutely concur that the FJC building was not part of the big strategy plan. But as you decide how to allocate your REIT $1, we could keep this on the table as a possibility for funding in the future. But not as a general fund appropriation. I also would say that this did not make it onto the capital facilities plan.
But to do what you just suggested, keep it on the table, how do we do that without tying it to the general fund?
So I put it on my whiteboard so that it doesn't get lost out of the conversations.
Is that the parking lot? You put it in the parking lot.
Yes, it's the parking lot.
Gary, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm with it. Good.
All right. So the next item is line 34. That is from District Court. They've asked for $500,000 for substance abuse monitoring.
Okay, are we open for comment? Or are you going on some more?
Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm not even there yet. Okay. Go ahead, Gary.
We just got done with 14. We put about 200K in pretrial, trying to alleviate some of this stuff. I just don't think I'm there yet, and I'll go back to night court or rescheduling or some type of efficiency issues that we might be able to use better. Don't know the answer, but I'm just not here yet.
All right. Ty, I imagine you're on this, giving this some thought.
Well, I mean, again, I think the last two, I'm kind of where I am on the last one. It sounds like Commissioner Edwards has some actual conceptual problems with it, and I don't have those problems. It's just a pure matter of dollars and cents. I understand what this could mean for district court, and it would be a positive. But again, I think Commissioner Hutchings is correct when he says, I think when we add up everything, we're going to be beyond our $2.5 million, and I don't think this is going to make the cut for me. So I'm thumbs down on this for now.
And that's right. I just don't think it'll make the cut when we go back and revisit everything else in the bigger scheme of things.
Okay, marking that as a no.
As we go down the list, they're organized in a way that we're going to, our lower priorities are now coming up. So, I mean, it's not shouldn't be really shocking that we're starting to get some no votes on.
That is
things.
absolutely correct. Nope, that's why the list was organized in this manner.
But this does not mean, like you said, we started off with a preamble, that the fact that they're rated low, medium, or high does not place value or take away value of the need. It just doesn't do that. It's just we have to prioritize everything.
That's correct. You just don't have enough money for everything.
Yeah.
So it's not that these were not well thought out, needed items. The next item on the list is line 35. It is from the Sheriff Corrections, $30,806. It is funding for contract housing for inmates. They expect that, well, they don't expect, their contracts for inmate housing in other jurisdictions are being increased. And even though we have had no inmates in contract housing for some time, they anticipate that that may not continue into the future. So they're asking for additional funding for these contracts.
Robin, have we, or has the board put money into contract housing years past? And then if it never came to the point where we've used it, where has that money hasn't been reverted?
Well,
I
they
can say
used
we've
the
never
money for
reused,
other-
never.
Well, hang on, let me hear Robin. Thank you.
In the past, if the funding has not been used for contract housing, it has covered other costs in corrections.
Okay. Yeah, Gary?
No, it's just very seldom not been used. That's all.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we could certainly take a look and see what was budgeted in the past few years.
But these are costs that are somewhat, I mean, they're outside of our control. The other jurisdictions are raising their bed rental and booking fees and such.
And in the past, the board has
You-
reacted to increases on a yearly basis of contract housing. Because in the
That's
past,
right.
in past experiences, past years, the board has reacted and have covered any additional expenses related to contract housing.
So I'm inclined to give it a thumbs up because it's like an insurance policy. We have a place to put people if we need them, if we need the space.
Me as well.
Hi, you haven't said it yet.
Well, if this were a normal year, this would be a no-brainer. Of course, it would just be, okay, we know about how much we use every year and the contract's going up and that's not the sheriff's fault, so we would budget it. But this is a weird year where we haven't used the contract beds, and I don't see really any big change coming in the next upcoming year. So I'd rather react to this because this is the pandemic and the total difference in booking and referring cases and processing folks. I just think it makes sense to kind of keep this where it is. And then if it ends up being needed, and this would be a no-brainer for the board to just approve as a budget amendment. But I just don't see that it's.
And that has been the practice in the past.
Yeah. That's a good point because they're operating well below capacity at the jail now anyway. They have been for the year.
I would also mention that the way they calculated the average bed nights used was to exclude 2016, which was a low year. So they have used their higher years to calculate the average number of bed nights that they use.
Okay. I'd rather see it come as an amendment than if needed. That's a good idea. So thumbs up or down, guys, so Robert can.
So I'm seeing 2 thumbs down.
Gary, will you now? Up?
No, I'm still with it. I just think it's going to be a necessary evil. We're either going to, if it comes about, we get this thing straightened out. I'm afraid, I just don't want to have to come back for a budget adjustment later on, so.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find my is well, where is my cursor? Here we go. And so line 36 is next. This is in the commissioner's office. It's for your consideration, the possibility of adding a county ombudsman. And that would be a person to assist when there are issues with, I think, permitting.
Well, 2/3 of us had a low priority, and the third one wasn't a high priority too. It was a medium.
Well, my problem on this is that I think it'd be great to have somebody that could intercede on the behalf of the citizens when they're being hamstrung by the bureaucratic process. But as it is now, it falls on our assistants to figure it out. And that's why I'd like to see this, but I don't know if we've got budget capacity to do it in all reality, so.
Yeah, I'm a thumbs down.
Okay.
Yes, 2, 3.
Yeah.
3 thumbs down. All right. Next, we have line 37, which comes from the clerk's office. It is a request for 3.5 additional FTEs to support the new judicial officer that is proposed. Don't know. I'm gonna look to the budget team to see if this would be 3.5 FTEs for all year, or would this be a partial year?
I can't imagine it's all year for 3. And I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to approve this once we have a judge approved and slotted in and
Right.
taking office, but that's way down the road.
This is premature. It's good planning. I'm not saying that I don't fault that, but it's a bit early.
So Denise has her hand up.
Oh, Denise.
So the change request assumes a July start date. And if you recall, the Superior Court had originally had an earlier start date as well, and then they shifted it later. There's no shift in this. So it's half a year.
So this would be for 3.5 FTEs for half a year. And then the clerk has also told us that when they bring in these types of FTEs, that there's a certain amount of training that's required before they can actually be in the courtroom. So that would be a reason to go a little earlier than when you get a judge.
Is there a cost of that training that's built into that 170,000, or is it on top of it, or is it free training?
Would have to ask the clerk. So I go ahead. Commissioner Menzer, did you have your hand up?
No, I'm
All right.
not going to
So
vote.
it
for-
looks
I'm
like
not gonna
2
vote for
thumbs down at this time.
point. No.
Hang on, what was that, Ty?
I'm just saying, I'm not going to be voting for this at this point, no matter what the answers to those questions are, so.
Okay.
Gary, where are you on this one?
I'm with Ty.
I'm with you guys. No.
You fellers. Next we have line 38. It's coming from Public Works. And it is $60,000 for a park and trail fee in lieu of open space. And if you need additional information about what that might be, I'm going to try to explain it, but I think Romero do a better job than me. But just trying it. It's currently, developers are required to provide some open space in developed areas. And instead of doing that, they would pay for land elsewhere that would be held as open space and be able to develop more of their property. Is that right, Romero?
Yeah, and I think what it makes it a little more complicated is because we have in the code, they provides an allowance for developers to go through this a fee in lieu of open space. And we don't have any means and methods at this point as to how we're going to be implementing these portions of the code. So in the past, we have said no. We don't have the means, so developers continue to provide their open space within their developments. I have my professional perspective that although there's an allowance, but creates a lot of risks to the county to take a fee, and then the county will have to be obligated to buy space, open space somewhere else. So it is a huge shift on the risk. And my suggestion is for the board to consider revising the code next year as opposed to going through this process of allowance. It's just my 2 cents on this one.
I'm voting
that's-
with, no,
Go ahead, Gary.
I'm voting with Romero.
I'm not,
Yeah, I
I'm
haven't
not,
liked this.
I am not a voting member.
I haven't liked this from the beginning because if we do, not only because of liability, we have to go buy the open space. So someone can make more money and there wouldn't be open space within a development, but then there's the maintenance operation and such, which is ongoing expense as well. I'm a thumbs down.
All right, 3 thumbs down. And I think we are on our last line item, item 39, which is a request from the coroner to add funding to his budget to purchase an X-ray machine. This would be to bring some of the forensic work that is currently contracted for in-house. And you had a conversation with him when he did his briefing about the possibility, I think, of a CAT scan machine. But as he looked into it, X-ray machine, in his opinion, apparently is more efficient and effective. So that would be $255,000 for an X-ray machine.
And you say you got updated information
Can I
that
add to that?
he's off of the CT machine, the CT scanner and back on
It
the,
would be this instead of that, yes.
okay. Did I cut you off, Olivia?
I just wanted to add, when I went over this with the coroner, his biggest thing on why he switched over to this is because he's spending $1,700 each time he does an autopsy. And by using this CT machine, he would almost cut his costs in half because the pathologist would just be reviewing a CT machine and he wouldn't be opening up an individual. And in general, having this machine, he would then be able to let other counties and cities come and use it, and it would generate him revenue. So he thinks between cutting his pathologist bills in half and then having people come in and rent this machine out, that it would pay for itself in a little over 3 years.
And he's currently spending $200,000 a year on autopsies anyway.
Right, and so this would cut that almost in half, and then he wouldn't be exposing anybody with airborne pathogens by opening that individual up.
Yeah.
So would
and
the actual add to his budget really need to be 155 with some assumed revenue?
I'm sorry, re-ask that question, you cut out on my end.
So the budget request is 255,000. Is that the cost of the machine, or could we reduce that by 100,000 if he would only have to pay for half of his autopsies?
That's a good point. I didn't think of that when I built that for him. It just depends how long. He's talking to some companies right now. I don't know how long it's going to take to get it, but that's a good point, because if he gets it at the beginning of the year, he automatically will start saving huge, amounts of money. And then he already has lots of cities and counties that he's been kind of putting the feelers out there to see if he could get people to rent this. And he's thinking he would get to charge about like $400 to $500 each time one of the cities or counties used it. And he doesn't know how many times, but he would think it would be, 100, 200 times. So there would be revenue coming in. And yes, you're right, Robin, he would drastically save in expenses, but I didn't feel comfortable estimating that for him.
So just based on this discussion, I don't care if it's 255 or if it's, we take 100, it's 155,000. I think it's a dollar well spent that saves budget, increases revenue, so provides some revenue, and it pays for itself in about 3 years. I'm a big thumbs up on this for the coroner. I'm just 1 of 3.
Can I ask in the narrative on this item, it says, right in the middle, it says, if I hear back from CRF team that expense is not appropriate for CRF funds, I will submit for funding in 2021. Does he mean next year's budget?
He was hopeful
Process?
do you have the answer, Romero?
Yeah, and in fact, he requested this item to be covered under the CRF fund, but it doesn't qualify for CRF because this is not related to responding to the emergency, because this is just a change on the way he conducts the business. That is not necessarily related to the response to the emergency. As a result of that, the statement is correct. So that's how he included this request for your consideration for the 2021 budget.
And it was just written before he had heard back, just because it was, you guys talked about it in the meeting. So it was just thrown in there, and he did find out later it wasn't appropriate.
Right. And I've had several conversations with Gary about this. So I'm like I said, I'm supportive, very supportive of this piece of equipment.
I guess for me, I'd love to do this, and I like the idea of it having cost savings over time. And so I guess I'm kind of a sideways thumb until I see where the money that we've authorized adds up to. If it's possible to get it funded, I could be persuaded. But I guess I'm a tentative thumbs down because I'm just not predicting that I'm going to feel there's enough resources. But it is a good and interesting request.
So you're sideways?
I'm with Hutch.
I'm sideways, slightly down, but I'll revisit once we go through.
No, because that sideways is also alternative up. Got it. Gary?
Yeah, I'm with you, sir.
With who?
You. Up. Thumbs up.
Okay.
So is that a thumbs up?
Up. Yeah, up.
So it's 2 thumbs up.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask, I'm very sorry to ask this early on in the, for 5 minutes to let me do some addition.
Is that sufficient time? 5 minutes?
Well, give me 10.
Okay, give you 10. We'll budget 10.
All right.
Thank you. We're in recess for 10 minutes.
Three, two, one.
Thank you. Welcome back after the break. And Robin, take it away. Thank you.
Okay, so I have done, with the help of my fantastic budget team, I have some rough numbers for the items where you've approved less than the full amount. And let me share my screen. Do this one. And I gotta get that off of there. So, grand total so far, you have said yes to spending 1,785,000 if I round up. And if we added all of the items that you currently have on hold, it would be just under $3.2 million. So the next thing we're going to do is go back through the items that are on hold and get a yay or nay to those.
What number are you trying to get to, Robin?
2.5.
2.5.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we talk about that just quick before we go back?
Sure.
Okay, if you're trying to get to, if we're at 3.2 and you're trying to get to 2.5, and the rationale for getting to 2.5 is what? And compared to, we've got a pretty healthy ending fund balance and all that. So what's the push and what are you looking for?
Here's the graph. So the board had agreed to a minimum fund balance, absolutely no less than 10 in 2022, but just north of that. If you were to approve all of the items on hold as requested, you would have an ending fund balance that just hits $10 million.
Well, I guess I've got a proposal that I think we're going to have better revenue. We have not even considered trying to encourage growth and building and whatnot. I think the numbers are going to come out way more than we thought it was going to come. I know there's supposedly doom and gloom, but I'm not buying into that yet. I'm not saying it isn't possible. I'm just wondering if we don't need to compromise both ways.
Well, it's a compromise, but your way is probably not much different than my 8-ball. And we just turn that around and see what it says about the future. And yes, I'm not mocking you. Just we have no clue what's going to happen, good, bad, or indifferent. But I think we're pretty. I'm encouraged by the numbers so far. The 1.785. That's not bad. Ty, any comments or remarks?
Yeah, just to say that, I think that in a normal year, which is what I was anticipating before the pandemic, I've been agitating since I got here to try to, balance budgets and hit our 2-month fund balance and, try to create a reserve fund and do a lot of things. The only reason that I'm willing to spend to this level of what this graph shows is because of the kind of uncertain times we're in and the better than we had, on one hand, some better than expected revenue projection and fund balance, but we also have total uncertainty as to pandemic expenses for the next year. We've got a $3.5 million shift out of the road fund every year. So, to me, the fact that I would even be willing to spend $2.5 million is a major compromise on my part, from my perspective. And I certainly am not going to agree to spend more than that. I'm not going to vote to spend more than that. This graph makes me really nervous, but I just think that as I do agree with part of what Commissioner Edwards says, which is that we're dealing with a lot of uncertainties and there's a real possibility. This country, I think, made a decision just last week that's going to make a real positive impact on our future. And so I think that there's a real chance for us to hedge our bets and to see that we can, improve things. And I'm willing to do that in light of some of the uncertainties. But I definitely don't want to push the envelope in that direction, which I think is what, if we go too much beyond what we've already sort of thought about, we'd be really pushing the envelope. So that's kind of where I'm at on it.
Can I follow up on that, Hutch?
Yeah, sure.
Robin, what was our projected ending fund balance in 19, and what did we end up with in reality?
I would have to look that up, Commissioner. It would take me
Well, gosh, that shouldn't take long at all, and I think it's a good example. You mean nobody in your staff's got that on the tip of their tongue? I've got my paperwork here somewhere, but.
No, we have the difference between the budget and the actual,
Yeah.
but we don't have the difference between the forecast and the actual.
Well, would you say it was substantially different?
No,
Okay, well then I need to hear the numbers, I guess, from you myself.
right, and that would take me a little time to find.
Okay, well,
I
I'm
think
ready
it
to
was-
listen.
I think I agree with Commissioner Edwards on this. I think it was a lot better. But one thing I've learned in these last 2 years is just how much we rely on uncertain forecasts, and it's no one's fault. It's just how we have to do things. And so just like it went up by a fair bit from what we thought, it could easily go the other way. And you just kind of have to hedge your bets a little, be responsible, be a little conservative in your approach. Because I agree with you, we are in a better position than I thought we'd be in. I think that number was around 13 million with a projection to go below the black line quite quickly. And you can see from this graph that we did better than that. And I'm really grateful for that. But that's not a guarantee that that's what 2021 and 2022 are going to be like.
And Gary, you kind of foreshadowed this coming. the unexpected, I don't want to say windfall, the unexpected income or revenue. But we have 6 items, only 6 to look at, as I recall, and give a thumbs up or a down to. I am not interested in pushing the envelope beyond what we set as a standard when we began this process.
And also keep in mind, and I mentioned to you at the beginning, Commissioners, that I will continue to remind you, the obligation the county will have to continue to respond to the emergency.
Yeah.
Absent any federal help, the county will have to respond to the emergency in 2021 because this is not gonna go away anytime soon. So I will encourage to show restraint in terms of the expenditures that you're considering today.
I guess I'm going to opt for having more faith in our new president, that this is one of his top priorities, and I think he's going to be doing something about it. I think we're going to have some help coming in several different arenas. That's not a given, but I'm a little more optimistic, I guess. And I was the one that was optimistic about the whole budget reduction business that we ended up not needing to do because revenue was substantially higher. And even if you talk about the economy slipping a little bit, I mean, it's still, the real estate market is unbelievable, right? Still. So I'm just saying, I don't think the sky is falling. We spent, well, I won't even go there, I guess. I'll just let it go at that. I'm willing to listen.
So, Robin, let me ask my seatmates, do you just want to go in order that they showed up on hold, or you want to grab the most expensive one and work our way down? There's only half a dozen.
There's a couple I had questions about, it was really just a matter of a question, and then a couple of them were just a matter, for me, half of them were a matter of just how much money do we have, and the other were like I had a question about what it meant before I could make a decision.
Okay.
Right. And if we look at this first one, you were all in favor of funding it. The question is where you put the position. So we asked.
And I think you
Number
wanted
two.
to hear from Dennis on this. So Dennis joined us via telephone.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Dennis.
Hello, IT Director.
I don't know if you're tracking the conversation, but the commissioners are considering a proposal from the auditor's office, which the auditor's office proposed creating a new IT security position that is going to be allocated exclusively in the auditor's office. Were you tracking on that request?
Yes, and I discussed some of this with Mary as
Okay.
well.
So the board had some questions for you, so I will just give the floor to you and engage a conversation with the board.
Okay, Ty, you had questions
Sure.
right up front?
Well, I just wondered, the auditor, knows her business, but she doesn't necessarily know the overarching, the county business in its totality. And Robin had talked about how we had an IT cybersecurity person that could be under your purview, but embedded in a particular department. I think there is one, I think it's the auditor. And so we weren't sure whether the.
I'm sorry, I can't hear very well, Romero.
Let me see if I can.
Romero, could we send him the link and have him jump onto the Zoom?
Can you join via Zoom? Are you available?
Yeah,
Maybe that-
yeah, I could join that way. Yeah, this way I could only make out like every third word.
Okay,
So it's probably not going to be able.
Let me send you the Zoom connection.
Okay. Yeah, I got my computer. I'll jump right on.
Thanks.
While he's joining, I would just offer one perspective, and that's if we had 2 cyber security employees in IT doing the work countywide, and then 1 cybersecurity employee in the auditor's office following the direction of the auditor alone, it's possible that the county would not be well coordinated in its cybersecurity efforts overall. That would speak toward embedding the position or assigning the position to IT to continue a coordinated effort and embedding the position, continuing to embed a position in the auditor's office to focus on the work in that office.
Robin, if the current position is already structured that way, are we sure that that's what Mary Hall wanted, was another position that had a different structure versus beefing up I know that position is not filled right now, but are we crystal clear on how she was proposing that be handled?
No, and I don't know that we can get Mary into this conversation as well, but my impression in talking to the auditor's office is that they don't think that the position that is currently vacant would continue to be embedded in the auditor's office. And that's a question we can ask Dennis when he comes on.
He's here.
Okay.
So unmute yourself. There you go, Dennis. Thanks.
Hello, Dennis Osorio, IT Director. Sorry about that. I couldn't hear very well on the phone, so I don't think I would have been able to answer questions very well.
So either Ty or Robin, spell that out for Dennis, would you?
I'll let Robin spell it out. She knows what the question is.
There you go. Thank you.
I think so. So Dennis, you currently have 2 cybersecurity FTEs, one that had been embedded in the auditor's office and has been vacant for a little while. The auditor has come forward and asked for a 3rd cybersecurity FTE, and the conversation is, should this position be assigned to the auditor's office, or should it be assigned to IT and embedded? And one of the questions that came up is what's happening with the current vacant FTE? And then what are your thoughts on either assigning this to IT or to the auditor, the new one?
Sure. So let me first the current vacant FTE, we just got an offer accepted today. So we will be having somebody start in that soon. And then talking specifically about this position, and I think it's put in there that we do need to do some evaluation on the classification for this. And I've discussed at length with Mary Hall. I think I know it's labeled as an IT security position, but I think it may be more beneficial to her office if she has an embedded, more like business analyst position, but somebody with some security acumen. So somebody that could understand from a business side what they need and then interface with the security team, because I think I heard you state that when I was coming on. IT security should be more of an enterprise approach. When you start trying to piece it out to offices and departments, it gets really fragmented and you don't get the best bang for your buck and you're not getting standards set across the board. So I think we would need to really, I'd work with her and find what exactly she's looking for and I think it's probably a lower level classification on somebody that can do some more first line troubleshooting and also understand business processes from the election side and from her office, and then interface with IT on numerous fronts, whether it's security or any of the other areas.
So that FTE would be direct report to Mary, not to
Correct.
you.
Correct. It would be more of an embedded position, and there is quite a few of those still on in multiple offices.
Okay.
So just so I'm clear, the new position would not be a cybersecurity position, but it would be an IT position assigned to the auditor's office, not assigned to IT.
Correct. And like I said, I think it would be more, it is still technical, but it's more interfacing with business processes and whatnot. And that's some of the discussion we've had with, I had with Mary. When you get a true pure IT security person, they're used to working at the enterprise level, and they're not going to want to do more end user support, more business process. That's just not what that field is. So I think it's finding somebody that understands security, but also can help them with business processes, help them with technical strategy, and then interface with my teams on how to make that happen.
Great. And on the position that you currently have, that you have an offer accepted today, congratulations on that. Is that position going to continue to, is that person going to be in the auditor's office like the last one had, or are you transitioning that position to more of a county-wide support?
Yeah, ideally, we want to transition that more to countywide support. We did move them into just straight into the IT rates this past year. So it's not funded at all by that department or by that office, excuse me. And then we have a little bit of depth in our security team. So we don't just have one person as we had. And then we could have, if somebody takes time off, and just have another set of eyes helping mature the IT security program here at Thurston County.
Gary, any?
Yes, I have a question for Dennis. Dennis, do you have some examples of failure that have been
No.
taking place in
Right,
the
go ahead,
auditors? Pardon?
I would just say that reading the narrative on this item number 2 kind of buttresses what Dennis just described, and talks about, I didn't quite catch that, but it describes how in working with IT, security consultant may not be the best fit. We're willing to work with IT to reassess the correct skill set to meet the business needs of the auditor. So I'm prepared to support that position as
Commissioner
described.
Edwards has got some feedback.
Okay. Are you done, Ty?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Gary.
Dennis, do you have some examples of where there's been a failure in the auditor's office directly associated with this type of a position, so we could kind of relate to it, or 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it is?
I don't, specific examples. I mean, we did have this position filled for over a year, and it was working in somewhat of an embedded manner. And I think just obviously that position was still answering to me and my team, and from what I saw, they were a pure security skill set, and there was some angst on having to do more business side support. They would like to be more at the enterprise level doing actual security work. So whether it's some of the phishing stuff that that everyone here has talked, that we've done, looking at penetration testing, looking at enterprise-wide, developing the security posture, and not really sitting in on business meetings and whatnot to try to figure out that type of support.
Okay, well, I mean, from my perspective, I just don't see that we've had a breakdown that needs to be repaired. I see that this is an insurance to maybe prevent from something in the future, but I'm not ready to support this at this point in time.
Okay.
Because one more thing that I would state is the auditor's office they do have a huge workload. So it is me and Mary had talked about this, and it's hard to kind of fit our current positions into what they're looking for. So that's some of the things I do think they need extra support, and I'm not sure if it's necessarily all technical support. So that's why we came to the conclusion that we really need to find out what the requirements are that they're missing and then fill that position appropriately. And like I said, I don't think it's necessarily a cybersecurity position, but I think they could use somebody being on their team that could have that lens and then work with us to help shore up some areas.
This discussion is beneficial to me because this request, I'm prepared to support it too. So is it 2 thumbs up and 1 down?
That's what I hear.
Okay.
So this is not a cyber, but the auditor and IT will work together to define the right position, and it will live in the auditor's office. And that turns green. All right, let's see. The next item on hold was the addition of a criminal justice manager was on hold. And I think that this was on hold to see how far the spending went before you determined this one. So are there any questions that I could answer specifically that would help you decide? Thank you, Dennis. You can sign off now.
Can we, hold on. Wait, Dennis.
Yep.
Before he
here.
goes, could we ask him about the district court IT support? Wasn't there a question that involved?
Yeah, I was going to suggest to move to the district court because it was the same question. And that is on, no, on the district court, it was 3-0 to support that. It's on page 9 of the handout, line item 18.
18. Thank you. That helps.
But my notes says the board approved that. And 3-0.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
we
just
did
where
that.
will it live? So it's the same kind of a question, Dennis. The district court has asked for an IT person to support all the various types of systems they had. Would you recommend that that person be budgeted in the IT department or budgeted in district court?
So I did hear that this budget request came through. I have not worked really close with district court to see what their needs are for this. So I don't want to just speak off the cuff. So I'm not sure exactly where it would live and what the range of duties would be that they're looking for. I do know, obviously during the pandemic, and we've had a big project as well in their department. So I'm hoping that we're not making a judgment call just off of this specific time frame, because I do understand some people had to wait for support because we've had people stretched very thin. Obviously, hopefully that's not the case going forward, since now we have everyone teleworking. We're putting some things behind us, but I don't have a specific guidance on where I would say that would live, because I don't know exactly what they're looking for at this point.
Looks like some.
Yeah, go ahead, Ty.
I just think I could help inform that. I mean, I think it's different than Mary's request. I think it wasn't that your team doesn't have what they need. It's really been about, like you say, they want, I mean, when they're in the middle of a court and something goes down, like they want to have somebody just dedicated to be there on the spot with no delay. That's really, as I understood it, that's their concern. And so I don't think they had any, my guess is, I guess, I don't want to speak for them, but my guess is they wouldn't have a heartburn about you being assigned to your group. It's just a matter of the dedication point and that person sort of top priority being their needs.
Yeah, so if it's more just technical support, but more direct technical support, then I would agree. I think that would be housed in IT. One of the ones with the auditor's office I think is different is it's more almost on that business analyst side. So it kind of rolls more on the business, on the officer department to fit that person. But if they just need a higher level of support or more direct support, then that would probably fall under IT, just kind of off of what I'm hearing.
you know, it's like the auditor.
I'm sorry, Mary Hall just joined the conversation. If you have any additional questions related to the previous item, the majority of the board just approved.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure of what the conversation or topic is. I see Dennis here, so I'm imagining it's the additional security person we wanted on staff.
The third IT FTE, cybersecurity.
So Mary, they've approved the position to be in your office at this point.
Okay,
Working with Dennis, it wouldn't be a cybersecurity technician. It would be more of a IT business analyst with some cyber.
focus.
Yeah,
Yeah, just to explain how this election was for us, we were on calls probably twice a week with Department of Homeland Security leading up to this. And I mean, to be honest, I needed a translator. And, you know, IT doesn't have the resources to, you know, be on all of these calls with us. But, you know, when they were rapid firing all of this information at us, you know, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? I can't even begin to tell you how intense it was leading up to this election. And this went on probably, Dennis, what, 3 weeks before is when everything started going crazy?
Yeah, I ramped up and it was, yeah, we were getting rapid fire meeting requests. Yeah, within 10, 15 minutes, we'd have to be on. So,
Right,
wow.
exactly. It was like this. And, you know, we were under attack, which I guess I can say now and at the 100,000 foot level. So, you know, I think, you know, it's not going to change. And I think just moving forward, plus, you know, I do have one other person and she is buried. I mean, she just has not been able to keep up with it. She can't go on vacation. She, you know, so to help with some of, you know, splitting up some of the duties there would be very helpful as well, because she's dealing with licensing, recording, and elections in itself is a monumental task.
So the majority of the board approved that request.
Okay, thank you very much.
Was there any other questions for Mary or for Dennis?
No, I'm good.
All right, good. Dennis, thank you. Mary, thank you for joining us.
Of course,
Very
thanks.
kind of you to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking at number 4, criminal justice manager.
so just to wrap up number 18, we're putting that in the IT department with a dedication to district court.
And that is similar to what we have with a Superior Court, where we have an MOU for the IT person who is serving in Superior Court.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, back to
Okay.
line item number 4. What questions can I answer to help you make a decision? This is for the criminal justice program manager.
But as I recall, or even if I don't recall, that it might be premature. I'm trying to remember the conversation we had this morning.
I think it was a 1-1 vote, and you were just you wanted to wait before you cast your deciding vote. I think Commissioner Edwards and I were pretty clear where we stood on this one.
Commissioner Hutchins, I think the conversation you recall is related to the racial equity position.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah, that's not this one.
Do you want to come back to this one and move on?
No, let me just decide.
Okay.
But I'm trying to remember the debate that you and Ty and Gary had over this. Ty, you were advocating for it.
I was, and you know, my position, Commissioner Edwards, I felt like he was kind of misunderstanding what the focus of was. You know, $75 million system that doesn't have the kind of data analysis and oversight. I have to believe that, you know, this FTE can pay for himself or herself multiple times over. That's my thought. This is, to me, about, you know, we could do business better. That's always a concern, but but this can be seen, I think, in terms of dollars and cents. I think this is
Yeah.
a good investment for the county, and it helps us respond to a lot of things. The criminal justice system is changing. There's a lot of reform, and I want to make sure we do that right, with the right data, with the right evidence. We need guidance for that.
And I remember the conversation now. Gary, you were concerned with the legalization of drugs in Oregon and other kinds of issues like that, correct? And defunding.
Yeah, I think it's premature. We're not Chicago. I don't think we have a big problem. We can always do better. But if we're going to prioritize things, we've got, let me just put it this way. We've got individual offices that this person would be expected to get adherence from to whatever they suggest. I think we've got a law and justice committee that can kick this stuff around. I just don't see this as a high enough priority to do right now.
All right. And this is criminal justice it's no longer the major chunk of our budget, but it's also the hottest topic in this country. And so I'm going to vote yes, that we move on this to see what we can do in this area of criminal justice reform, minimizing duplication, maybe some creativity, see what someone else is doing in other parts of the country as well. So I'll say yes. Just 2-1.
Yep. The next item is the adding the ER&R equipment to the Central Services ER&R account. It's the sheriff's equipment, adding this equipment in. And the question was, how much is in the current budget for these types of expenses? And
It's page 4, line item number 9 on your report.
right, line item 9. Were we able to get a response on that?
I'm just weighing it against the other requests that are still pending.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a moment and go through my email to see what might be there.
I think this equipment should be put on the ER&R.
1010. I agree. We've been negotiating with the sheriff for some time to come up with a list.
And he's done that.
Robin, the response is in an email, says B1010, but it's just another email with a kind of a broad, I'll re-forward it.
All right. How about thumbs up or down?
I'm up.
I'm up.
I'm definitely up, but as long as we make a corresponding adjustment for the items that, if he's already got budget authority there, like we talked about this morning, I definitely conceptually want to get the ER&R sorted out.
Got it.
The response that we have from the sheriff's office is they say that in the past, a lot of this equipment was purchased using grants. So they're saying there's no funding in their budget to reduce.
I thought we were all voted up already.
There was still the question.
There's still good information.
Answer. So this would be an add of $370,000 with no offset.
But if it was purchased with grant,
It
money.
had been purchased with grant money in the past.
Yeah.
That would not be the, so if the money is being saved up in ER&R, we would not be looking for grants.
Grant
The
money,
sheriff's
right.
office might continue to do so, but it is, well, I don't know if they would or not. That I
Yeah, we don't know. Okay.
I don't know about any guns and stuff, handguns, rifles, that, I don't know that they've ever bought those with grants.
Some of the portable breath test instruments, radars, SWAT gear, gas masks, and the drones were purchased with grants.
Okay.
So there is no funding to reduce for those. The funding for the tasers was just removed because it had been added and then you took it out as one time and then you added it on a different line. And then in the past, we've replaced items when they break, no longer work, using vacancy savings.
Okay. Well, I'm still happy with it being in the R&R.
I think we took a
but
vote, 3 thumbs up, wasn't it?
Wait, hang on. Go ahead, Ty.
My vote was conditional on there being a corresponding adjustment, so my vote's not yet decided. Not that it may matter, but I just think that if these things were purchased by a grant before, but what's changed in the world? Why am I to believe that now none of these things are going to be done in the way they were before? I guess I'm just struggling with that piece of it. And like Commissioner Edwards said, rifles and handguns, you know, there's stuff. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that just across the board, it's all been grant funded, and now we're going to start paying for it. Well, why would we save for it? And if we were, you know, if we have the, I mean, tasers, we know with tasers, we just had to fund that in the last budget amendment this past year. So the grant didn't come in for that, and it's hard for me to believe that every single one of these pieces of equipment has not been come out of the sheriff's budget at any point in time.
So they do say that some of these items have been paid for from their budget, and the way they did that was vacancy savings.
Okay, so they're looking for a budget increase to cover that stuff. Just be clear about it. I mean, that's fine. I know they need more resources, but we have to be clear about what the request is. So,
Right.
but I'm going to support because we've got to get the ER&R system sorted through.
What did you say? You're going to support it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. And that is 16. Okay, the next item that was,
Thank you.
go back to it, is also from the sheriff law enforcement. So we have the full year cost for an FTE.
That's page 10, line item 20.
And I need to start to share my screen again in just a moment. One. All right. So hang on.
We're hanging on every word.
Okay, so this is line item 20. This is the request for road deputies. The 510,000 is to phase in 3 FTEs, and it says 6 because we started out with a biennial budget and they'd intended 3 more in 2022. So 2021 is 3 FTEs. And it is the ongoing annual cost for 3 FTEs is $375,450, and that is fully loaded.
That includes a vehicle?
According to the sheriff's office. And the reason it costs so much more, even though all three positions are not on board on January 1, is because we need to purchase all of the equipment and whatnot that goes with a deputy.
That includes the vehicle, 3 vehicles?
The 510,000 does.
Okay,
I'm assuming that the 375,000 ongoing includes the contribution to ER&R for replacement vehicles in the long run. That's what fully loaded for a deputy would
Can I
be.
ask a question on this?
Sure.
Given that I think Commissioner Edwards made this point this morning, that aren't we, given that we went to a single year budget, isn't this a request for 3 road deputies? I mean, the fact that he would also like to phase 3 more in the next year, I mean, we can consider that next year, right? I mean, is there any decision that we would be making here that would lock us into 2022?
It would be the ongoing costs in 2022
For the
of these
3.
3.
For the
of these 3. I'm not talking about the 3 more.
Because
I guess I'm asking, why would we, given that we're sitting here trying to decide a single year budget, why would we decide to add 3 more in another year and buying?
Because 510,000 is only a part of the cost. There's a bow wave effect. So we were trying to estimate the impact of the bow wave.
I might add that any FTEs that we add, we're going to have that same process.
So I think to answer Commissioner Mitzer's question, you're not bound for an additional three positions in 2022.
No,
That request needs to come next year when the board considers the new biennial budget 22 and 23. So your decision point right now is whether you like to consider 3 new full deputies beginning in 2021. And remember, you always have the option to go less than that.
Okay, I understand.
And the only thing we're bound to is the ongoing personnel cost. And it will go down because there's no more vehicle purchase.
there's not a vehicle purchase for the full price of the vehicle, but there is the contribution to ER&R
R.
in every year.
Got it. Okay. All right.
So it's more than just salaries and benefits. It's
So we can,
everything that goes with them. But that price is about 125,000 a year roughly.
okay, because that was pretty close. It was 120 this morning. So we can approve 1, we can approve 0, 1, 2, or 3,
That's correct.
Yep.
knowing that he needs 6 or 10 or whatever. All right. Gary,
I'm going for the 3.
Ty?
I'm on board for 1.
Dang, I was gonna say 2. I just split it, save some money, but give him some help.
You know, we talked earlier about reinstating all the 2% cuts, and we haven't even got there yet.
No, this is in lieu of that.
This is set up.
Yeah, I know.
Line item by line item.
Yeah, I know.
So.
Let's,
Now, now there's an interesting conversation. Commissioner 1 is supporting 1 additional sheriff deputy. Another one is 2, and another one is 3. So
the
conversation to have.
The others that are pending are the sheriff's office, the funding for the SRO in Rochester, and the funding for 1 detective position to the tune of just under 200,000. That's pending, as well as the 80,000 for an SRO. Did we receive any information over the lunch break about the SRO? We're wondering if it was just paid with overtime in the past. What's different about it? And I'm gonna guess not.
don't know that we have anything new to add on
Okay.
that one.
Do some math here.
So do you want to come back again to the road deputies and move to the other items, or
125.
because we're currently at
I
a
do.
1, a 2, and a 3.
Yeah, let's do that. Because I'm looking at the cost of the detective, and it's what, is it 197? Where'd it go?
What's left?
Yeah, the detective position.
So we've got the SRO, and we've got
Number
the
30, detective.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's all that's left, are those two from the sheriff's office.
And that's
There's
just
one
for,
other item. We never decided the little piece of the assessor coming out of the general fund instead of the REIT technology fund.
Well, I had 2 thumbs down on that.
I thought we were waiting for you to pull up the 10-year financial plan on the REIT technology fund.
Okay, so just a report on that, the treasurer's office is the administrator of the fund. And I have a note from Jeff Gadman. I need to connect with him, but he has not prepared a 10-year financial plan on that fund. So it's going to take me a while to get an answer to that.
Okay, well, I'm good where we're at. I just had it flagged in my notes. It's still.
Okay.
so when I look at what we just talked about, 1, 2, or 3 deputies, it works out to be 125,000 per deputy.
Right.
And 1 detective is 197,000. And I'm going to guess that would include a car, or the there's no additional special equipment. I mean, they already have their tactical vests and all that type of stuff and their firearms. I'm just wondering, is it just because of pay, the pay grade at being a detective, perhaps? I don't know if they get specialty pay or what that amount is, but it's considerably higher than 125,000. I'm not questioning the numbers. I'm just looking at, well, 1 position for 197 versus 2 for 250 that are on the road. I'm just balancing that in my head.
Roughly $69,000 is the price for the equipment and the tech, including a car. So if we look at 197,000 for the detective, and we back out $69,000, then you're left with 128,000, which is roughly the 1 year cost.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So I didn't question the numbers. It was just how they got there. Okay. Let's come back to number 20.
All right.
And we're on number 21, the SRO.
Sure, we can go to that one. I don't have any answers for you on why the sheriff would change from the overtime approach to having an FTE. I would, anything I would say to you at this point would be conjecture, and that would not be appropriate. So we can reach out and see if we can get the sheriff connected to talk to you, or someone from the sheriff's office, perhaps acting under Sheriff Brady would like to join us for this conversation.
That might be helpful. I remember it's been an issue in the past with previous boards who said, no, we're not going to spend any overtime, even though the money is being reimbursed. Not going to pay any overtime for it. But it's been working under a certain system, and now it looks like it might be changing. It'd be kind of, I think it's important to know why, or what respect, or what's the advantage. or disadvantaged to not doing it. I support the SROs. It's just a matter of where's the money going to come from, how are we going to function or account for it.
Yeah, I just reached out to the acting undersheriff. Give me a minute.
Okay. The acting undersheriff, let's go ahead and make them dance. And Robin, when Ray gets on, will you go ahead and kind of lay it out for him?
I will attempt to do that.
Thank you.
And while we wait for a response, I will tell you that we are currently at 2,384,000. That is without the sheriff, road deputies, the detective, or the SRO officer.
Still be on 84. Okay.
Yep. Roughly 2.4 million. So should you add these additional items, then we'll go back again and look only at those things that you've approved to see if there's some alternatives that you would consider.
Okay.
Denise has got her hand up there looking for something.
Oh, go ahead, Denise. I'm not looking.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. The note I added into this change request says that the contract does not cover 100% of the cost of the positions. It results in an increase to the general fund of $17,000, and that during the summer months, the position would join the road patrol, if that helps.
Okay, great. Give me a minute.
Yeah, I knew they'd be working the road in the summertime.
So we had some issues with the conference call. Hopefully this will work.
Did he join via conference call?
Yeah, he just joined and hopefully I can make this work.
Okay, so I'm going to try to frame it. Thank you for joining us, Under Sheriff Brady.
Can you hear us?
It's a little faint, but I can hear okay.
Okay, can you hear Robin?
I can, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking at the sheriff's budget requests, and specifically right now, we're looking at the funding for the Rochester School Resource Officer. And the sheriff has proposed changing from the current model, which is the Rochester School District pays for 100% and the work is done on overtime. And instead of that, we would add a full-time FTE sheriff deputy that would be paid for the most part from the school district, but partially from the general fund. And the question is, why would we change from the overtime model that is currently working to the full-time FTE?
Yeah, so there's a couple different factors there. So first of all is the Rochester School District approached us with this increased funding model asking for a full-time deputy to be involved in their schools. And the second factor in that is that as we were funding it, and it was the way we originally created the position years ago, with the backfill model. So the overtime wasn't paid specifically to the SRO deputy that was in the school. It was paid overtime for a deputy on their off-duty time to come in and fill the position to meet minimum staffing on the road. So in essence, the schools were paying 1.5 times the cost, and they were only getting the 4 hours that they were paying for. So in essence, they were getting 4 hours of a deputy's time, but they were paying 6 hours because of the overtime cost to the schools. So this funding model that they requested and increased the funding on their end, it makes a lot more sense for them in that they get a full-time deputy at the regular rate rather than an overtime rate.
That's good information. 'Cause I did not know it was requested by the superintendent. So that's good.
Yeah, that's correct. The request came directly from Superintendent Fry and the school board to support this position from the sheriff's office.
Okay. Hey, commissioners, any questions for Under Sheriff Brady?
No, sir.
Nothing, Ty?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, thank you guys very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, commissioners, what say you?
Has left the conference.
I'm a thumbs up.
I'm thumbs up.
Good for the Rochester, good for one deputy. No go on the sex detective, and I think those are all the items. Right? Those three?
Yeah.
So we're down to the number of road patrol and the detective.
And the detective. And detective number 21. No, detective is
The detective is line 30.
30. There it is.
Dang it, what was the,
I would say no to the detective, but yes to 2 deputies.
Well, I guess to get the 2, I gotta drop my standards. Is that what you're saying? That's what you call
That's your
negotiating.
interpretation.
Okay.
So,
Okay, well, I'm good. So where are we at?
But line item, what I'm hearing on line item number 30, which is the new detective, what is the pleasure of the board?
Well, I want to vote for him.
Okay, so 1-4, and Commissioner Messer, so it's 2-1, no.
no. So 2 thumbs down. And then the last one, so here's where we're at.
Well, we
With
still got
only
20 to
the
go down.
road deputies outstanding, you are at 2,464,000. And each deputy costs
125.
123 for salaries, but they're phased in. It's a little hard to figure out exactly how much salary in the first year because you've got the equipment.
Yeah. So that would put us over 2.5. So the other suggestion you made was go through and find out, look at re-examine the yeses, and it
Yep.
might be 500,000 or 800,000 yes, and maybe we just reduce it by a chunk of dough, perhaps.
So there might be some options to give you, either you might change your mind on something that you've said yes to, or, I'm
But
trying
sure,
so something I would like to take a look at is how much capacity you have in detention sales tax.
Well, you look at-
Because if we could put one or two of these corrections officers toward detention sales tax, that would save you some money.
all right, Ty, I want to recall what you just said a little bit about 2 minutes ago. You said yes to the SRO, no to the detective, and what did you say about the deputies?
That I was supporting one,
Supporting one? Okay,
because mainly just because of the dollars that Robin laid out. I mean,
Yeah.
one's gonna put us over, a little bit over 2.5, but not too much over. And I agree, we added 4, and you guys added 4, majority of the board added 4 corrections officers, and that's a big chunk. And if so I am curious about whether some of that could go to detention sales tax. It's been a while since we've looked at that.
So let me see if I can find the current detention sales tax financial plan.
Okay, Ty, do you know what number the corrections were? Was that pretty close to the front?
Let's see. Oh, yeah, number 10.
Oh, it was up front. Oh, there it is. 4 FTEs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was just,
For over $500,000.
that's one where we could, I guess, I guess, as Robin and Ramiro said, we wouldn't have to go to, and we would have intermediate choices, I guess, if we wanted to.
As I recall, on number 10, we said 2-to-1 vote for FTEs, but we said no to the legal assistant, I believe.
That is, you'd asked what the sheriff would prefer, and that is the preference we heard back. For
Okay.
correction deputies and no to the legal assistants.
Okay.
Assistant.
And that 557,500 is for all 5 or 4.5 positions.
So I have the new number on that. Hang on and I'll find it. What's the line number for that
Yeah.
request?
10.
10. 468,000
For what?
for the 4 correction deputies.
How much?
468.
468,
Oh,
okay.
instead of 557, okay. But for example, the board, now having seen the kind of totality of everything, the board could decide to have 1 more road deputy and 1 less corrections officer, for example, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we just kind of threw down on those 4 corrections officers, and now it means that we can't maybe do the road deputies like we might like to, but I don't know, it's just a thought.
Yeah, that's absolutely an option.
But and I think it's a viable option. So we would do 3 corrections and 2 road deputies. What do you think, Gary?
Well, I thought we were already at the 2 road deputies.
No.
So we're still negotiating
No,
that.
It's part of the discussion.
But to get the 2, we dropped the 4 COs to 3 corrections.
And that will get you just about a little bit over 2.5.
Well, I don't think it hurts if we do go over a little 2.5. Our estimates are so far off in the first place, I don't think it's gonna matter.
Okay. So,
Fair enough.
If you buy a couple of corrections officers with detention sales tax, okay, that solves part of it, then put 2 more road deputies on.
so are you looking that up, Robin?
I am.
Detention?
Share the screen. Screen 3. So here we have your detention sales tax fund. It has an ongoing fund balance of, we need about $1 million there. We talked about trying to preserve capacity in this fund for when you did the jail expansion or the flex unit. That is not going forward at this time. But so there is some capacity in this fund. The fund balance is running right around $2 million a year. We paid debt from this fund, a significant amount that's not going away for a little while. And if you added, for example, approximately half of the price of the 4 corrections deputies, if I round that up to 500,000 and we put half that much in here, 250 a year, for 2 of those positions, then come about 2023, your fund balance would be running just around where you want it to be. So you could afford 2 corrections deputies in detention sales tax.
Nice. So 2 in detention sales tax, 1 or 2.
If we did, right, 1 or 2 out of the general fund.
The general fund.
And that would create capacity. So I'm going to stop sharing and try to do the tricky math. 468.
So maybe a suggestion, commissioners.
Yeah.
If we go back to line item 10, which is the 4 positions, understanding the majority of the board approved 4 positions that are under the general fund. Based on this information with the detention sales tax, would you like to open that decision?
Yes.
I'll change my vote to the extent that the positions can be funded by the detention sales tax.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can facilitate the decision-making process. So on line item number 10, the board would like to continue to support creating 4 new correction deputy, 2 from the general fund and 2 from the detention sales tax.
That's my intent.
I'm thumbs down on the general fund positions, thumbs up on the detention sales tax positions.
Okay.
So you are proposing 2 correction deputies from detention sales tax and none from the general fund?
No, 2.
I am, but that's just
No.
No,
clarifying.
that is Commissioner. I'm just making sure I heard Commissioner Menser.
Yep, that was mine.
Okay. And I am for 2 out of detention sales tax and 2 from the general fund.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to verbalize that. I'm sorry.
What do you need me to verbalize? Yeah, I'm with Hutch.
Okay, so that's what I would need to hear. Okay. So it's
That
still,
gives us capacity. That gives us capacity for the deputy. Number 20. we can get a running total from Robin.
Yeah, hang on just a sec.
Certainly.
753.
While Robin's doing that, I'll ask the commissioners, is there any other items that we all voted yes on that you may want to consider an alternative or a reduction in the fund that we approved?
I think I'm okay with where we're at.
Oh my God, I think we're there. So here's what I've done.
Oh my God, what have you done?
Well, we'll have to see if the numbers come out right, because I just did a very rough number for what would 2 road deputies be. And that was difficult to do because the numbers we have are phased in at different times during the year. Basically, all I did was take their general fund amount and say, what is 2/3 of that? So it's very rough. It's probably not accurate. I'm gonna round it up to 350 just to add a little bit of room. But if your agreement with the sheriff was that you get 2 deputies and don't spend more than 350,000, then your budget adds total $2,580,000.
Good gravy.
We go home now?
2580. If I put that in the table for the graph,
And that's on the high side.
then you're there. And you're done. And we don't even need the days later in this week.
I need a vote on this one.
We've yep.
Sorry, can we go back to line item 20, just to make sure that I captured the vote?
Yes.
So the proposal is to fund 2 new road deputies. That is, that's, I believe, what the proposal on the table is. Can I see a vote from the commissioners on this?
I'm still voting for one. So I'm
Okay.
still thumbs down on the second position, but
Okay.
Okay, so Commissioner Edwards,
Edwards?
Hutchins?
2.
Commissioner Edwards, 2, and Commissioner Hutchins?
Yes, 2.
So 2-1 on 2 positions. Knowingly, the Commissioner Mesa supported 1.
right. And because of that, because of all those tweaks, I personally do not need to revisit other decisions. I'm okay with where this landed, kind of in the aggregate.
Oh, boy.
I've never had it go quite this smoothly, so good job.
Do you need a tissue? This was, as I started off after the lunch, you've taken so much complex issues, a lot of numbers, and streams, and demands and needs and wants, and made it interesting, engaging, and it's not only informative, but you made it very understandable. And I'm proud of my seatmates too, and Robin and Romero and the team, Patty, Olivia, and Denise.
We have scheduled meetings for the rest of the week, except for Wednesday, and tomorrow is your regular day. Suggesting that perhaps we convene on the Thursday meeting just to revisit all this and have the opportunity for staff to go through the numbers, just to make sure that you confirm your overall decisions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Good
then
gravy.
that may be just an hour, and then we'll cancel the rest of the meetings.
Are we holding you up, Commissioner?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're done, any final words, Robin or Romero?
No, good job. This is for me has been a lot smoother than I thought it was going to, but good job.
Gary and Ty, thank you very much. You are consummate gentlemen and smart. Thank you very kindly. This meeting is adjourned.
So just one more comment. I know a lot of people are listening, and I just want to thank all the people from the offices and departments for all the hard work that they've put in,
Yeah.
and the budget team. But everybody across the county has put a lot into this, and all their work has made it gone this well. So thanks for everyone.
Yeah, go ahead,
And I'll
Ty.
just say, I want to pipe in and say that the level of trust that I think the board has in our elected officers and department heads, you know, the fact that we can sort of believe the information we're getting and know that the most important things are being prioritized really helped us, I think, move smoothly through this. So I appreciate you guys, you know, who you are and what you do.
Yes, thank you, ditto. All right. Thank you all kindly, and we're out.
Thank you.